Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air involving U.S. troops. Will thousands now be sent to the Middle East amid these rising tensions with Iran? What we have just learned tonight, our correspondent standing by live. Also breaking, the severe weather hitting now, the new tornado on the ground before we came on. Watches and warnings right now across several states. And meteorologists again warning this is a particularly dangerous situation tonight. And now the concern in the Northeast coming next. Also tonight, President Trump storming out of a meeting with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, among other leaders. Tonight, new reporting what happened inside that room. What Pelosi said today that had the president fuming. Tonight, what we've now learned after that dangerous RV chase playing out on live television. The woman driving the stolen RV hitting several cars. And the most difficult moment to watch, and this dog does survive here, it can be seen jumping from the RV. The scene in court today, the pilot for American Airlines in a jumpsuit, shackled, accused in 3 murders, arrested just before he was about to take off. The officer outside New York City facing manslaughter charges tonight after opening fire on a car as it sped away, killing a man inside. The American who left the U.S. before 9/11 and trained with al-Qaeda, captured in Afghanistan, set to be released now for good behavior. The great white shark here in the Northeast, and tonight the newest ping, where that shark is now, nearing another popular spot. The major hot dog recall just before the holiday, we have details tonight. And all of the family and the Jeffersons are back tonight, but who will play Archie Bunker and Edith and George and Wheezy?
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Wednesday night. There are several developing stories as we come on tonight. And first, that breaking news that could involve thousands of U.S. troops. Tonight, there is new reporting that the Pentagon is drawing up plans for the White House that would call for sending up to 10,000 U.S. troops to the Middle East. Any exact number has not yet been revealed. And of course, it comes amid those growing tensions with Iran. The U.S. already ordering the USS Abraham Lincoln and its strike group to the region. President Trump just days ago tweeting if Iran wants a fight, it would be, quote, the official end of Iran. Iran then tweeting back an escalation of rhetoric. And now will that escalation involve U.S. troops? ABC's Martha Raddatz leading us off.
Tonight, the Associated Press reporting the Pentagon is presenting plans to the White House to send up to 10,000 more American troops to the Middle East. Twice as many troops as are currently stationed in Iraq and Syria. It comes amid escalating tensions with Iran. The military already sending an aircraft carrier and B-52 bombers to the region to guard against a possible attack on American interests. President Trump has said he doesn't want to go to war.
President, are we going to war with Iran? Hope not.
1 year after he pulled out of the Iranian nuclear deal, the president is now urging Iranian leaders to reach out to him.
So let's get right to Martha Raddatz with us live tonight, because, Martha, you're hearing from your sources tonight that this plan will be presented to the White House tomorrow.
It will, David. We do know this request came from Central Command, which is responsible for the region, and that the troops would be used for defensive purposes, a deterrent to Iran. But it is unclear whether this president who wanted to get out of the Mideast would approve the request. David?
All right, Martha Raddatz leading us off tonight. Martha, thank you. We are also following another developing headline. Those deadly storms on the move again at this hour. A new tornado on the ground late today. There are watches and warnings up in several states as we're on the air. At least 60 reported tornadoes in just the last 2 days now, including this one right here near Dawson, Nebraska. Flood alerts at this hour in 6 states now. Homes have been swept away by a river in Crescent, Oklahoma. And 54 million Americans are now in the path as the powerful system tracks into the Northeast tomorrow with heavy rain and damaging winds. Meteorologist Rob Marciano has the timing for all of this, and he's in Tulsa tonight.
Tonight, new images of a tornado tearing across Oneida, Kansas, as the National Weather Service again warns of a particularly dangerous situation. Storms have been relentless. Dozens of tornadoes touching down all over the heartland for days now. West of Des Moines, Iowa, an EF2 tornado with winds of 130 miles per hour, killing a woman in her home. North of Oklahoma City, watch and listen as this home crashes into the Cimarron River. The shed carried away by the current, other homes hanging by a thread, the water eroding away the banks. Nearly 9 inches of rain falling in parts of the state. Outside Tulsa, high water rescues. Residents there climbing out their windows. At the Keystone Dam, officials releasing water at up to 1.6 million gallons per second. Some communities now being urged to evacuate.
So let's get right to Rob with us live again tonight. Rob, we really appreciate your reporting all week long here. And I know this is active as we're on the air again tonight. And now the Northeast dealing with severe weather tomorrow.
Yeah, this time tomorrow it's going to get rough across the big cities in the Northeast, David. But right now it's rough here. We got a severe thunderstorm approaching us from the west, just to our south, 20 miles. There's a tornado on the ground right now. Let's show it to you on the radars just east of Oklahoma City. The warning is up for that, and another cell. And we're under a watch here from North Texas through Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, all the way into northern Illinois till 10 o'clock tonight. So it's going to get rough along a big line of towns. This front pushes east tomorrow morning in through Ohio. There you are in the Northeast. Parts of Pennsylvania, you're going to see rough areas in mid-afternoon. By tomorrow, the rush hour, looking at New York City, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, D.C., as far north as Syracuse, big-time wind and hail. And then again, we reset here in the plains as well tomorrow afternoon. David?
Rob, thanks to you again tonight. A remarkable showdown at the White House today. President Trump storming out of a meeting with Democratic leaders, hastily calling reporters to the Rose Garden after something House Speaker Nancy Pelosi had said earlier in the day. What was it that set the president off, and how did Speaker Pelosi then respond? Mary Bruce on the Hill again tonight.
Moments before heading to the White House this morning, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi took a direct shot at President Trump.
We believe that the President of the United States is engaged in a cover-up.
Furious that the president refuses to cooperate with congressional investigations, Pelosi is under mounting pressure from Democrats to impeach. Back at the White House, the president was watching. He made Pelosi and Democratic leaders wait for their scheduled meeting on infrastructure. Arriving late, he shook no hands and immediately let loose on the speaker, calling her comments terrible. Then he marched right into the Rose Garden to unload.
I walk in to look at people that had just said that I was doing a cover-up. I don't do cover-ups.
The president declared he will not work with Democrats on infrastructure or any other issue until they stop investigating him.
You can go down the investigation track, and you can go down the investment track, or the track of let's get things done for the American people.
Back on the Hill, Democrats said they were taken aback.
To watch what happened in the White House would make your jaw drop.
They called the whole thing a setup, saying Trump was never serious about negotiating a $2 trillion plan to rebuild the country's crumbling bridges, roads, and infrastructure.
For some reason, maybe it was lack of confidence on his part, he just took a pass. And it just makes me wonder why he did that. In any event, I pray for the President of the United States.
But on the question of impeachment, Pelosi wouldn't answer.
If this is a cover-up, why not move to begin impeachment?
What happens now?
Any negotiations with this White House, if this is how you communicate?
You tried, Mary. She's back up live on the Hill again tonight. And Mary, as all this played out, another breaking headline, as you've reported here on this broadcast, congressional Democrats have been trying to get the president's financial records, of course, that battle now in the courts. And today, a second judge now ruling in Congress's favor.
Well, David, the president tried to block his longtime lender, Deutsche Bank, from complying with a congressional subpoena. But today, a federal judge rejected that request. This is now the second win for Democrats in the court this week. A federal judge also ruled that the president's accountant has to turn over 8 years of the president's financial records. But, David, the White House does plan to appeal.
The battle continues, Mary. Thank you. Now to that dangerous high-speed chase playing out on live TV, a stolen RV, the driver slamming into cars and trees as she tried to get away. Tonight, we've learned more now about the driver and about the dog seen on live TV jumping out of that RV. The dog does survive this. And here's ABC's Adrian Banker tonight.
Tonight, this out-of-control driver under arrest. LA County Sheriffs and the California Highway Patrol in pursuit of the stolen RV, the driver, a 52-year-old woman, careening through San Fernando Valley neighborhoods while holding 2 large dogs in her lap.
Slicing right through that tree there.
She hits a tree, scraping off the side of the vehicle, busting out the windshield. Debris falls from inside. And what you're about to see is hard to watch. One dog jumps from the RV and is okay tonight. She hits a total of 6 cars.
Oh, no!
The driver of one distraught. Then eventually she smashes into this sedan before jumping from the RV, the second dog running beside her before being captured by an officer. The suspect and one person injured rushed to the hospital. Those dogs treated as well. The one that jumped out walking on a leash tonight, the other with casts on its legs. And David, that woman is now being held on $100,000 bond for alleged evasion, hit and run, and assault charges. And not just the RV, but the dogs were stolen as well, though microchipped. So the hopes are that they will be reunited with their owners. David? We're glad those dogs are okay. Adrian, thank you. There are new developments tonight in the case of that pilot for American Airlines charged with murdering 3 people in Kentucky. Christian Martin in an orange jumpsuit today, pleading not guilty in court. Authorities arresting him moments before takeoff. We reported it at the time. He's accused of killing 3 former neighbors in 2015. Prosecutors say one of the victims was supposed to testify against him at a military court-martial. Next tonight, a police officer is now facing a manslaughter charge for the deadly shooting of a driver in Newark. The officer firing repeatedly as that driver tried to race away, killing the driver, wounding a passenger. And here's ABC's Lindsay Davis.
The wild chase captured on this newly released body cam video ended with a fatal shooting. Now has Newark, New Jersey police officer Giovanni Crespo behind bars. It happened after a January traffic stop. The 26-year-old officer jumping out of his car several times as the vehicle sped away, firing at the car while it's still moving.
I think I shot him. Relax. He pointed the gun at me. Bro, he pointed the gun right at me.
The driver, Gregory Griffin, a father of 4, was shot in the head and died. Investigators say they found a gun in the car, but tonight Crespo is behind bars, indicted on 6 counts, including manslaughter.
He showed a reckless disregard for human life by shooting into a moving vehicle.
Tonight, the police union says they're confident he'll be acquitted.
Crespo had only been with the Newark police for a year and a half. If convicted on all counts, David, he could face life in prison.
Lindsay, thank you. Now to that new headline tonight about Michael Avenatti. Federal prosecutors today charging him with defrauding his most famous client, Stormy Daniels. He's accused of stealing nearly $150,000 from her book deal, allegedly claiming the publisher hadn't paid her yet. He also faces charges of extorting Nike in a separate case. And new developments tonight in the racist yearbook photo scandal involving Virginia Governor Ralph Northam. Eastern Virginia Medical School now saying tonight its investigation cannot determine if the governor, then a student, is the one who appears in the photo showing one person in blackface and another dressed as a member of the KKK. Governor Northam, who faced calls for his resignation, insists he is not in the picture. We move on now to a controversial headline tonight. American Taliban John Walker Lindh is now hours away from freedom tonight. He left the U.S. before 9/11, trained with al-Qaeda. He was captured during the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan. He's now set to be released from prison tomorrow after nearly 2 decades behind bars for good behavior. Here's ABC's Whit Johnson.
Tonight, the so-called American Taliban, just hours away from walking out of an Indiana prison after serving 17 of his 20-year sentence.
Was this the right cause or the right place? Exactly what I thought it would be.
A headline-grabbing case in the wake of 9/11 with stunning images showing John Walker Lindh gaunt and filthy, captured from a prison basement in Afghanistan in 2001. Seen here in this video taken by Afghan intelligence refusing to answer questions from CIA officer Mike Spann.
Hey, you know the people that you're here working with are terrorists?
Just an hour later, Spann killed by militants during a prison uprising. Lindh had converted to Islam as a California teenager, left for the Middle East, even met Osama bin Laden at an al-Qaeda training camp. He pleaded guilty to giving armed support to the Taliban, but is now being released for good behavior, sparking outrage. Mike Spann's father urging President Trump to intervene.
Don't turn him loose if there's reports out here that he's not being the model prisoner that y'all say he is.
Lindh condemned terrorism at his sentencing, but 2 government reports found he continued to advocate for global jihad and made pro-ISIS statements. And sources tell ABC News he has even preached in prison, quoting a prominent jihadi figure. And David, Lindh will be facing tough restrictions. He can only communicate with people in English with his limited internet access. He also cannot associate with any known extremists, and he cannot leave the country without permission. He's expected to move to Northern Virginia, just outside of D.C., after his release. David?
Wade Johnson reports tonight there are new warnings about sharks just as millions prepare to head to beaches here in the Northeast this holiday weekend. Scientists continue to track that great white shark, now off Martha's Vineyard tonight. Here's ABC's Gio Benitez.
Tonight, scientists picking up an alert for that great white shark named Cabot. Earlier today, his electronic tracker pinging just south of Martha's Vineyard. Cabot, just one of many great whites expected to migrate north this summer. Today off Long Island, we traveled near their typical migration path.
Researchers have discovered a great white nursery where young sharks are being raised somewhere between Cape Cod and Cape May. One reason we may be seeing these sharks here in the Northeast.
Following a deadly shark attack on Cape Cod last year, anxiety in Massachusetts is high.
I think the public's starting to get their head wrapped around the fact that this is a pretty serious situation.
Beach communities taking increased precautions this year, including advanced first aid kits. One town even offering what they're calling Stop the Bleed classes to learn how to treat shark bites.
And David, we mentioned those advanced first aid kits. Well, this is what's going to be inside. Tourniquets and surgical dressings. This will all help lifeguards in those first critical moments after a shark bite. David.
All right, Gio Benitez, thank you. Well, they made us laugh, but they also made us think. All in the Family and the Jeffersons both breaking barriers, and both are back live tonight. Here's Amy Robach.
Well, we're moving on now. Tonight, two groundbreaking sitcoms are back.
Boy, the way Glenn Miller plays.
That classic All in the Family.
We gained to meet it.
And the Jeffersons returning to primetime with a new all-star cast.
What if it's Jamie Foxx? It's Woody Harrelson.
Marissa Tomei. It's Ellie Kemper. All agreeing to revisit the iconic shows in a live special led by late night's comedy king Jimmy Kimmel.
These are shows I watched with my family and by myself over and over again as a kid. We thought, why not do it in the way that they've been doing these live musicals?
Original series creator Norman Lear getting right on board.
He said, you know, I'd love to play Archie Bunker, which really is the hardest one to cast, is Woody Harrelson. So I texted Woody Harrelson, and he texted immediately and said yes. And from there, I thought, you know who would be the best George Jefferson is Jamie Foxx.
And the wives, Marissa Tomei as Edith Bunker, and Wanda Sykes as Louise Wheezy Jefferson.
All of my life, I've only bought 3 kinds of dresses. 50% off, seconds, and going out of business.
Best remembered for the laughs. Their social impact also burned into collective memory.
When the first 6 episodes of All in the Family ran, they ran with a warning. Is there a warning necessary in front of either one of these live shows?
I think we're giving people fair notice that what they're about to see is not what they see nowadays, and that it might create some conversation.
Guys like us, we had it made.
You're talking about 2 of the greatest TV theme songs of all time.
You do it.
I see you stop just on.
Our thanks to Jimmy and Amy there. It's going to be something to see, all playing out live just a short time from now, right here. I hope to see you tomorrow. Good night.
ABC's